When it comes to arcade games, I'm no expert. I was born too late to experience the golden age of arcade machines and neon lights. The only arcades I know are ones at caravan parks or beachfronts full of 2p machines and tacky, unentertaining Time Crisis knockoffs. So I take the video games to pretend to be arcade machines, and without the hardware limitations of the 1980s, games of these styles can really shine. That's where the game Jet Lancers comes in. It's a game published by Armor Game Studios. If that sounds familiar, it's because Armor Games was a flash game website back in the day. Now they publish a whole lot of good shit. The game itself was developed by Codewalkers, a small team of two dudes called Vladimir Fedyushin, I don't know if I said that right, I apologise, and Nikolai Danielson. The game is on both PC and Switch, so you have two ways to play this game, even on the go. In all honesty, I didn't know this game existed until it showed up in my Steam recommendations and had literally released the same day. It was pretty cheap for a recent release, and after looking at the screenshots and some videos, I was interested. So let's jump on in. This game looks good. It's got that perfect pixelated art style which screams 90s, and the game soundtrack is that perfect level of chiptune where you could feel that the music would sound like if it wasn't in the chiptune style. You know, when it's got the basis of a proper good banging song, just not in pixel form. It's very good even if it is in pixel form. Don't worry. I want to give compliments to the composer Fat Bard for making such banging tunes. Not gonna lie here. The music's actually relatively dynamic. It changes depending on if you get hit in the game to a more dire sounding bit. It's sort of like a feeling. I like it. An interesting thing I noticed is that when you reset a level though, the soundtrack doesn't reset to the start of the song, it carries on. I think this helps because it lets you keep the momentum you had before you died, which is good. The comparison this game is going to get is Luftrausers, a game which came out a couple of years ago now, which is basically this game's older cousin. Unlike Luftrausers though, this game has a different art style by far. It's way more colourful and doesn't evoke that weird fascistic imagery that Luftrausers did. It's got the slight anime aesthetic of a 1980s or 90s game, but with a modern, capabilities. So instead of being held back and using pixels, it's using pixels deliberately, and it looks very clean and fresh because of that. It just looks good. This game has very tight gameplay that I've not seen in many shoot-em-ups, mainly because I don't play many shoot-em-ups, but the way you move and the simplicity of the controls makes me parrot the game's Steam description as being easy to learn, but hard to master. The game's other description of becoming an ace pilot feels less about the main protagonist and more the player as you become more and more skilled with the game's mechanics. There are a total of 5 buttons in the game: a shoot button, a missile button you can press or hold for a special weapon, and a dodge roll button used for incoming fire. There's also a button for using your engine and another for the afterburner. All of these make the combat better, it's very simplistic and fluid, and it's really, really damn fun. It involves you moving around a map, verticality is important, and dodging enemy fire is your big aim. Most enemies go down in 1 or 2 hits by your guns and 1 missile blast. Keep in mind that so will you, only having 3 hits. The thing you might notice is that impacts and enemy deaths tend to cause a micro stutter. This is intentional. It's a throwback to when old school arcade machines would take time to catch up and have to render everything so the game slowed down. The devs have said they plan on making this a toggleable feature for people who don't like it. Speaking of toggleable things, the devs have a cool menu full of accessibility options, where you could toggle and mess with your stuff to make your experience in the game better, such as turning off vibrations, making the fire buttons toggleable, stuff like that. Overall, it makes the gameplay a lot smoother and easily tailorable to what you want to do. I won't go into too much detail on the story, since I think it's best to experience yourself, but I'll give you a little plot synopsis avoiding spoilers. You are a flight school dropout and general badass mercenary called Ashla Gwyn. Dropped out not because of a lack of skill, but because of a lack of respect for authority. She takes out sky pirates to pay the bills alongside the crew of a hovercraft aircraft carrier. However, things start to get strange when she gets a new plane and weird robots start to converge around Route C. It's up to her and her friends she's made to save the world. I personally think that this game is great. It's new and fresh, and the game runs on just about anything. It has a unique charm that I think people will like, and is easy a good time sink. Or fun long game, you know? You could just play it, you could pick it up and play, especially on the Switch, which has also come out on. Either way, I think it might be one of my favourite indie releases for the year so far. Thank you for watching. I don't usually make reviews, so I hope this is worth your time at least a little bit. Have a good day, and goodbye.